and 5, 4.
Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning in to Allied Health Mentors. My name's Eddie, and today I'm sitting with Vincent Pimentel, who I know as the Vince. Some of them know him as number 56 on the gridiron, but today we're just going to call him Vince. So Vince, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this interview. How are you feeling today?
First off, I want to say thank you, Eddie, for having me on. But I'm feeling pretty good, man. Like, I'm on vacation right now, so I'm just trying to get some much-needed R&R.
All right, cool. So Vince is a longtime friend of mine. He's also a LVN student. LVN is an abbreviation for licensed vocational nurse. And here on Allied Health Mentors, we talk about different allied health fields, career choices, and kind of bring exposure to them so that anyone interested out there can get some education. And I know nursing isn't technically allied health because nursing is kind of separate, but it's still in the medical field. And Vince is a student. Did I say you were an LVN? Or did I? I did.
You
I'm
did.
sorry.
And you explained what it was. It's okay.
Vince is an LVN student, so he's a soon-to-be licensed vocational nurse. But we're on his journey. This is part one. Eventually, if you subscribe to the channel and you keep up, you'll see Vince full-fledged LVN after his NCLEX and his credentials. So I'm excited to see that. I'm sure Vince is. But Vince, my friend, my brother from another mother, LVN. That's interesting. I had asked you a long time ago if you were interested in nursing, and I believe you said no. You were like, I don't want to be any part of the medical field. And here you are wearing scrubs, looking nice and snazzy, and you're preparing to be a nurse. So if you can tell me and the viewers why LVN.
Let's take it back a little bit. We'll go back to the high school days. Like, okay. I was always interested in the medical field, but because like even when I went to CSUN, I graduated from Cal State University Northridge with a degree in communication studies. Even when I went there, I went in there undecided, wasn't too sure exactly what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Went kinesiology, and then kind of stepped out of there after a year, kind of thinking medical wasn't what I wanted to do. Went through the rest of my college time there in communication studies. After graduating, kind of figured out like I might have picked the wrong field. It's too broad, and I'm not the best when it comes to communicating, and I really couldn't find anything that I felt like would fit me overall. And then just with this pandemic happening, it kind of gave me a push back into the medical field. And then just with my second support system with my girlfriend's family, her mom's an RN, her dad was an LVN, her brother's becoming an RN. Kind of like leaned me more back into that field. I also want to give a big shout out to Scrubs, because that's one of the things that also the TV show and their podcast. Hey. Also kind of pushed me to go back and push for my dreams and going back into the medical field.
Awesome, great, and I'm glad you brought that up about going to college. So I think that's a very important point that I wanted to focus on in this interview, is that Vince, you went to Cal State Northridge. You graduated with a bachelor's of arts or bachelor of science?
Bachelor of arts.
Bachelor of arts in communication studies, correct?
Correct.
And that's interesting to me because myself, although I went to community college, I had a little stint at CSUN myself, but I guess when it comes to allied health professions, a lot of us, went to trade school first. Out of high school, we went to trade school, and we kind of diverted from the traditional education system of going to college. But you finished your college education, or you got your BA, and now you're coming back into the trade school realm, which I think is interesting. Not a lot of people do that. Some people just go to trade school and they don't go back to college, and you kind of flip the script on that. So I was just kind of interested. I was interested in finding out what was your thought process there when you were looking into LVN program? Did it occur to you that, hey, like maybe I shouldn't do this, I already have my BA? Or do you see as becoming an LVN kind of enhancing your education and your overall worth?
I feel like it overall enhances my worth just because I have that other background Just to speak about my program alone, like I feel like there's a variety of people in that program ranging from 18 right out of high school until like people in their mid 30s, you know, and older. And like I just feel like going the trade school route is also a good option, you know, versus just going to college. Some people don't find that, or that, you know, that passion or that drive for their education right away. And there's no shame in that, in going the other way, you know. Just with me, I feel like me having my college background, it actually prepared me a lot more for taking this kind of a accelerated course, you know. My program is 16 months, and like just within the first 2 months, like you feel the difference in acceleration. Like I just finished anatomy and physiology course in 4 weeks. And if you went to any college or community college, that would be broken down into what, a full semester class or 2 full semester classes, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And just to note, me and Vince we took a physiology together in high school. And I'm sure we both got a C, or maybe he got an A and I got a C. Shout out to Mrs. There you go. Shout out to Mrs. Lopez. And then we also tried to take anatomy together in community college. And I think we both probably failed that one, but
we don't talk about that one.
We've come back even stronger. And Vince has now passed his anatomy and physio portion of LVN school. Is that right?
That's correct.
Awesome. That's great. So how long is that program? You said 16 months?
16 months.
Awesome. And so at the end, yeah, go ahead.
So I started in October 26th, and I'll be done sometime at the end of April 2022.
And is it broken up into quarters?
It's terms.
Terms.
So
okay.
Yeah, so it's 4 terms. The first 6 weeks, or the first 2 months, first 8 weeks are considered to be a preterm. You start off with your SOS, which stands for Seminar of Success, where they kind of give you the fundamentals you need, just like basic math and conversions and stuff like that that you're going to be using. They test you out there, and then after that you go into anatomy and physio. And once you pass anatomy and physio, you're technically in the program and you're moving on to term 1.
Awesome. And so I think you had mentioned it to me before that the anatomy and physio that you're learning now, or that you just learned, they try to relay it back to nursing. And so it helps you understand it better. Am I right?
That's correct. Because like I said earlier, if you were to take anatomy and physio at a GCC or sorry, community college or like a university level, it's 2 separate classes. And those are breaking down into, you know, like a full semester each class.
Right.
This is an accelerated program, so you take 4 weeks of it, and it's you lecture for 8 hours from 2 to 8, or from 8 to 2, and then you have a test every Friday just based on what you learned that last week. And they really do relate back to nursing, just because like we said, we've taken high school level physiology, we've taken anatomy together at a college level, and just the amount of information that they push at you, they also try to relay it back to more exactly what you're going to be using in the profession.
That's awesome. And as far as your program goes, after you finish these terms, or actually during your terms, you also have to do clinicals, which I believe you're gearing up for soon.
Yes. So when we come back, so right now I'm on winter break. We just finished on Friday, and we have 2 weeks, come back the 4th, right? And then I got 2 more classes, which is going to be another 2-week stints, growth and development and nutrition. And after that, we go into like fundamental nursing, and that's when we start going to the campus and doing our live labs.
Okay. And so you decided to join this program at one of the most, I guess, inconvenient times of any student, which is the COVID pandemic. And so right now it's all distance learning. So you haven't met your professors or your classmates in person, right? Or maybe at the school, or how does that going?
So far, everything has pretty much been online, except for like one day where we had to do our CPR certification.
Okay.
And like our HIPAA training. So we went down to the campus. It was right before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I mean, just because of the COVID guidelines, we had to separate. We started with a class of 40 about that time. And they split us up into 2 groups. And then once we got to campus, they split us into 2 rooms. So one room doing the HIPAA training at the beginning, and they were doing CPR, and then we swapped throughout the day. So it was, we could be able to go with COVID protocol.
Okay. And how much of a challenge has it been to be a distance learner, to study these complex things like anatomy and physio, and then have to study by yourself at home? What's that? Or do you have a study group? How's that working out for you?
So far, I haven't relied too much on a study group.
Okay.
But just to go back to distance learning, it's pretty complicated because like you're sitting at a computer for 8 hours or 6+ hours, and like your mind wanders, you get comfortable, like
Call of Duty.
a call,
Someone calls in a
Call of
care package.
Duty, someone calls in a care package, and I got to respond. And you could be distracting at times just because I'm at home versus sitting in a classroom, this upright desk like this, having to focus.
Right.
It's so easy to get distracted when you're at home, and so easy to like, I'll do it later, or afterwards, I'll study later, this, and that, just because I don't have to be in class at a certain, or I don't have to be driving to a class at a certain time. I can wake up, roll over, and be ready for class.
Yeah. Oh, and you're also one of the few males in your class. Is that right?
I am. We started off with a cohort of 48, and 3 of those being males, so me included.
Okay.
And now we're down to 35 students.
Wow.
And
wait, 48 to 35?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And there's only 2 of us guys left. So the first guy dropped in like the first week, and then it's just me and the other guy.
So what do you think about becoming a male nurse or a nurse, right? I think when we were in high school and when I would talk about nursing to people, I think there was still a stigma, right? And we graduated in 2013, and I think there was still a stigma of like men being in nursing or being nurses. And when I would tell my friends I was interested in nursing, they were kind of like, why do you want, they were kind of weird about it. But I think since it's really getting close to 50-50 of men and women both being nurses. So what's your point of view on like being a male going into nursing?
I would say first off, I was one of those guys back in high school, like, no, I don't want to be a nurse. I'm like, I'm going to the medical field. I'm going to become a doctor, this, and that.
Yeah.
Then you get to college and you're like, I got to do all that.
Yeah.
But it's times are changing, and I feel like everyone's perspective on men and women and what is it, sexual guidelines are really becoming one. A girl can do whatever a guy can do, and a guy pretty much can do whatever a girl can do except for give birth. But you're working on that.
They are working on that. I'm sure
they're working on research.
That. Okay. So Vince, nursing, there's LVN route, there's registered nurse route, RN route. What does that look like for you? Do you have interest in becoming an RN later on? Did you consider going to an RN program now, like West Coast? Where's your head at with that?
I did consider an RN program, but I thought maybe I should get my hands in the field first and get a little more experience before I make that big jump and big commitment. One, just financially, it's a lot more, and it's a little more intense school to save for that at least. I want to make sure that this is the career that I'm going to fall in love with, and I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I do see myself, after finishing this program, working in the field for a couple of years and going back and getting my RN transfer into an RN,
Yeah. And that's interesting that you bring up. And I think I mentioned this to you before, but some people take these programs and they try it out for a little bit, and then they realize that they really don't like nursing or whatever it is they got into. I'm a phlebotomist myself. I work in the lab, and I actually have a coworker who is an LVN and had went through an LVN program, passed her NCLEX, and now works as a phlebotomist. She loves what she's doing now in the lab, and she has no desire to go back to nursing, but she does keep her nursing license active just in case she ever needs to go back to it. But she specifically told me that, yeah, I don't want to be a nurse. I like the lab. I like phlebotomy, and that's what she does, and more power to her. So I think it's very smart of you to kind of fill out nursing, fill out the LVN route, and then decide later on, is this what I want to do to become a registered nurse? So back to your program, it can be kind of daunting when you're looking at a year-long program and you're looking at the price tag. So Vince, can you tell me what you thought when they said, okay, this is your tuition fees for this program? What was going through your head when you saw that price tag? And what was the price tag?
Price tag, let's say about $35,000 for a 16-month program. They're pretty good with the financial standpoint of everything. They try to help you as much as they can. They pushed for me to get as much financial aid that I could, just because I went, the college route, and I did use a good chunk of my financial aid access or ability during that time. So I was able to get, a little bit of the Pell Grant, and then I got one subsidized loan, and then I'm making monthly payments on it still. After that, and they're really flexible with the monthly payments too, which I really like, which is also what really drew me to this program.
Right.
But just in my head, I'm like, damn,
that's
almost more than my my college education altogether.
So let me tell you, back when we were graduating high school, I don't know if you remember, but I was talking about doing an LVN program or phlebotomy. I went with phlebotomy, but I was looking at a LVN program, and the price tag at that time was $15,000, and now yours is $35,000. You said, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a big jump. And just we've only been out of high school, what, 7 years? So yeah, and just in that amount of time. Another note is when I was looking at that program, I shadowed a class, and I was the only male in that class of like 20 females. And I happened to go on the day that they were discussing circumcisions, which made me very uncomfortable as an 18-year-old male sitting in the back of the class. It was pretty funny. But okay, so your class, you saw that price tag. You said, all right, I'm going to go for it. You kind of know the path that you're heading on. Where do you see yourself in 5 years after you've completed this program? You've got some nursing experience. Do you think in 5 years you're going to start an an RN program, or do you think in 5 years you want to kind of climb up that LVN ladder? What's your timeline like?
Just thinking about it, like, just because I'm not too sure exactly where my future is going to lie, whether I'm going to be in the state of California or not.
Okay.
Just for other reasons, but I feel like during that time, after 5 years, I'd probably be making the jump to the next program. Awesome. Just because that gives me enough time to finish this program, get my foot in the door in LVN, get the experience. And once I get that experience in, and I really see that this is what I want to do, I'm going to commit myself even more into the profession and go the RN route.
And so you've mentioned leaving the state of California. Have you looked into your options of leaving the state, how your nursing license will transfer, or how that might work out?
I have, and the good thing about living in the state of California is you have like the toughest nursing requirement. They set the bar. California cares about their their medical system, and they set the bar for it. So I feel very comfortable getting my LVN certification and my passing getting my LVN certification here in California, just because we have the toughest guidelines. I feel like it would be easier to transfer out anywhere else in the country.
And I don't know if you've come across, but in some parts of the country, LVNs are called LPNs. Have you come across that yet? Or
I've seen that.
Right. So they're licensed practical nurses, I believe. But for some reason, California is cool, and we call them LVNs here. Awesome. So also, for people who are looking at this program or looking at going into an LVN program, what tips or what advice would you give them about making that jump into saying, yes, I want to do this program?
If this is something you're serious about, it's a whole lifestyle change.
Okay.
You have to put this as a priority, and you have to keep it that way. If you have a job, you're gonna have to try your best to cut back your hours, and because it's very demanding. Just within these first 2 months that I've been in the program, I've had to cut back hours at work. I've had to put focus more on this program than anything else. So it just takes time.
And you've been at your job for a while, and for you to, be making the money that you're making and to take that pay cut, I mean, that has to hurt, right? I mean, that, your paycheck isn't as big, but you're making the sacrifice. How are you coping with that?
It honestly kind of works out just for me, because I did get a promotion right before I went to this program. So I did get that little pay increase. So taking back, those hours does hurt me, but I try to subsidize what I'm losing with other part-time work that I do when I have the free time. But that's just me. When I have the free time to do it and I need the money, I can put that time aside and make the extra money that I need. But some people who aren't as fortunate to have the second option for income, it does become a little daunting, and that's why while you're in this time, loans could be your best friends. I know some people have hesitance or don't want to do it, but you gotta see it's an investment in yourself.
That's awesome. I love that you said that, because I think people shy away from doing these type of programs or looking into them because they don't see it as an investment for themselves. Like for you, example, you know, maybe a regular college grad thinks that their only option is to get a job or to go to grad school. You know, I feel like a lot of our generation is really lost in like what they want to do. And I feel like sometimes they don't look at the trade school route as an option, right? When you get out of college, it's get a job or go to grad school. But no one says, hey, are you interested in becoming an LVN or becoming a sonographer or becoming an x-ray tech, and kind of using your education to help pursue an interest in that field? But that's something you've done. And I think that's very admirable of you. I think you're definitely going to like nursing. Does anything scare you about nursing? Like, is there any unknown parts? Vomit, urine, catheters, changing diapers? Does any of that worry you?
No.
You hesitated.
Honestly, like I've been training myself for this. I've been training myself for this for a while.
Okay.
You know, I live with I live in the same house with my grandfather, and he's getting old, and every time, you know, something happens with him, I'm just, you know, I have no problem cleaning up or helping him out, just because I feel like this is the profession I'm getting into, and I'm just trying to get myself used to it. Like, you know, catheters, cleaning up vomit, cleaning up, wiping people's butts, and stuff like that's just part of the career. And, you know, it's part about being a nurse is helping others who can't help themselves. And like, that's what I'm in on, you know, that's what I'm fully committed to. Sometimes the job gets dirty and nasty, but you just got to put your gloves on and do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah. You know, you know, my mom's an LVN, and I remember when she was going through a program, she would bring her nursing books home. And I remember like when it was late at night and she was in bed, I would go through her nursing books and I would see like all this gory stuff and like these medical conditions. And I was like fascinated in it. And I was probably like 8 or 9 at the time. Maybe young. I was like 8 or 9, but yeah, those nursing books, I don't know if you've opened yours yet, but they show some pretty gross pictures. So that's interesting. Okay. Yeah. What were you going to say?
Oh, they do. Like some of the grosser ones I've seen is just like burn units, examples from the burn unit. That is some intense stuff.
Have you seen bed sores?
I've seen bed sores. That is also very bad. Now, as long as, you know, you're doing your job and you're rotating them every 2 to 4 hours when they need to, you won't have to see that, you know?
Yeah. And so we've mentioned COVID a little bit. You have not necessarily worked like in a hospital, you know, so like, for example, me, and we've talked about this before, like looking at COVID, you know, being in the medical field for a while, we treat everyone as if they're infected, right? Universal precautions. And so I've gone into rooms that are isolation precaution, and I've drawn people's blood while I'm wearing an N95 and a respirator, or, you know, whatever it is. And so I'm kind of used to it. But you looking at a global pandemic, a global pandemic, and you're looking at entering a field that's very impacted by this pandemic. Does COVID worry you? How do you feel about entering a career field where you are in contact with patients that might be positive?
You know, it's like you said, you just got to take universal precaution and always be aware of your surroundings and be ready for it. Like I'm not gonna lie, it scares me going into a field where like stuff like this is happening now, and it's scary to think about, but you're doing it to help others.
Definitely.
You know?
And I think, like you said before, you're there to help the patient, right? You're there to help people on some of their worst days. And so I think you're on the right path. And I applaud you for doing this program. What other experiences do you think you're going to have? Like, you know, you can go work in a clinic, right? Or you can go work in an acute care facility. Do you have a preference on like where you want to work when you get out of this program?
I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and you know, like first job out of LVN programs for most people are like convalescent homes or long-term elder facility, you know, care units. And I've been thinking about maybe trying that for a little bit. I also, because of you talked to me a lot about maybe, you know, there's a lot more out there for LVNs than just convalescent homes, hospitals. I mean, because it's just, for the most part, LVNs are getting phased out of hospitals now because they want more of the RN, you know, even as the ground nurse, as the floor nurse, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? I've heard that for a long time. That, I mean, they've always said that they're phasing out LVNs, and although it might be true that they phased out a lot of LVNs in the hospital, the healthcare system that I work for, I've actually met a couple of LVNs who work in the clinic, and they've told me that there's positions available for them as a floor nurse in the hospital. There's not a lot, but they're there. And like we've talked before, there's tons of opportunities for LVNs. Not only is it, subacute care or clinics, but there's also clinical research. When I worked in clinical research, my supervisor at the time, she was a clinical research coordinator, and she was an LVN. You can teach as an LVN. I believe LVNs can teach, ACLS or PALS as nurses. I believe if you can be certified in those, which you will be eventually, you can take them. You're eventually going to learn how to do IVs. So you might be able to teach people on how to do IVs. But yeah, clinical research, coordinating patients' care. There's tons of opportunities right now with COVID. Not only for phlebotomists, but all allied health professionals have now been given these opportunities of like screening or contact tracing. So who knows, when you get out of this program, you might be entering a new role for LVNs, and you might be a pioneer. So I think that's super exciting for you and anyone else entering this field. Any other tips that you can give as far as like staying focused in an LVN program? You've passed your first term, so how are you going to stay motivated for the next couple that come up?
I feel like it's only going to get crazier as time progresses in this program, because yeah, I come back and I got 2 more like on, over Zoom classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going into the campus and doing my live labs and doing everything that I'm going to be trained or be doing when I go to the hospital setting. So just within that self, it keeps me motivated because like, this is what I'm be doing as a career,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just me sitting back, learning, things about the body and learning conversions, this and that. It's really hands-on learning that I'm going to be doing when I'm done with my LVN program, or even in the next stage where I start doing my clinical rotations and working with patients. Like, that's motivating in itself because like I'm going to be doing this on a patient and I don't want to do it wrong, or I don't want to hurt the patient, or I just want to make sure I can give them the best care possible. Just with that, that's motivating to me.
And then a little while ago, you talked about your support system. How big or how important is it to have a support system? How has that helped you?
It's helped me tremendously. Like, when I told my immediate family that I was going to do this, they were all really proud and happy for me. They've made accommodations for me. They help me out whenever they can. Like, they got me this desk here that I have my laptop on. They got me this comfortable chair behind me just so I could stay focused in class.
Nice.
They've done that. And then just with my second support system with my girlfriend's family, they're very supportive. They're always asking if I have any questions about anything, if I need any help with anything. They help me by getting me a laptop so I can do this virtual learning and be successful in it. Like, having a support system that supports you in this is very important, because like there's going to be days where you don't want to study, or there's going to be days where you're tired from your work and then you have to go to school, then you have to come back and study, and they're like, hey, just go study for a little bit, always pushing you, because those days when you're tired, they're going to push you to work harder so you can get through it.
So I think for guys out there who are looking into joining an intensive program like this, a lot of guys have girlfriends, and a girlfriend may be like, "Oh, you're taking the program, like you're not gonna have time for me. All your study time, all that's gonna be taken away." Your girlfriend coming from a nursing family, but she's not a nurse herself. Did she give you any of that? Like, "Oh, you're not gonna have time for me," or was she completely behind you?
She's 100% completely behind me. She's the one pushing the train behind me. I run out of coal, she's throwing some more coal in the fire, and like get your ass to work.
Yeah.
Like just because like she comes from a place of like where she values education very highly. She graduated college in 3 years, and then she went and got her master's right afterwards. We have the kind of relationship where we're doing something that's important or that's going to build our future. Like, we can give each other our time. Like, when she was going through her master's program, anytime she was working on something or whatever, I'd give her time, and then she wanted to talk about it. She wanted to teach me what she learned, review, want me to read her papers, whatever. I did that for her. And then she's doing the same thing with me now. Like, oh, push me. Like, did you study today? Did you do this? Which you like always asking me, what did I learn? Just so I can, say it back to her. Cause that's like one of the best ways to learn something is by being able to teach it to someone else. We just had this little getaway for us, and like the whole time I was just feeling facts that I learned in my anatomy class, just keeping it fresh in the mind, and she's very supportive of it.
Well, Vince, thank you very much for coming on Allied Health Mentors. I really appreciate you. I've done an interview before of a sonographer student. Now I've done an LVN student. I hope to follow up with both of you when you've both accomplished your careers and are fully credentialed. Do you have any closing remarks for people who are watching this video?
First off, I just want to say thank you to you for having me and interviewing me. I take this as a great honor to be interviewed. Like, I'm very excited to be going through this journey, and I'm glad to have you here too, because you're always pushing me, you're always giving me new advice, and I'm very happy that you have this platform to share what you learned through your time as being a phlebotomist and share it with everyone else, just because people got questions and you got answers for them, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I say thank you to everyone who's watching these videos. Like, I know they appreciate this, and just getting in the medical field, whether it's an LVN or any of the allies, like, you're doing a great job. So you're doing a good thing. You're doing service for others. So just keep up the good work. And that's it, man.
Awesome. Vince, where can people find you? Do you want people to find you? Do you want people to add you on Instagram?
I mean, they can if they want. Like, I don't have too much good content on there. It's just a bunch of pictures of me and my girlfriend. And...
what's that handle if people want to find you on Instagram?
Oh, if you want to find me on Instagram, it's at Vince_P56. I think that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you guys have any questions about Vince's journey, reach out to me. I'll forward them, or reach out to him on Instagram. I'm sure Vince would be happy to extend any knowledge he has when he's not studying. If he doesn't get back to you, it's because he's studying. So leave him alone. But I'm sure Vince will be happy to help anyone there is. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is Allied Health Mentors, where we talk about allied health professions, careers, healthcare in general, and kind of bring exposure so that you know the knowledge and you can make the best decision on your next journey. So I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Vince. Later.